Japan Part 125. By the mid-1960s, with increased mechanization, much less labor power was required on the farm. Young farmers therefore go out to work in towns and cities in a variety of industries. With good transport facilities and automobiles, most of them are now able to commute to work from their homes. Even if they are retired from urban employment at age 50 or 55, they can return to farm work, earning enough to cover food and other expenses for the household until well into old age. This is the dominant pattern for 5 million rural households in Japan, one that provides old age security and the sense of pride and activity for the elders in almost 20% of the nation's family households. In the urban areas, the small retail store, often owned by the elderly, also provides an equivalent to a welfare security system. For while it is not economically efficient, it is protected by government rules about the penetration of large stores and is supported by neighborhood shoppers who appreciate convenience. It provides an opportunity for widows and divorcees and workers retired from small and medium-sized enterprises, for it required almost no capital investment. As of 1978, Japan had 1.61 million retail outlets, and the number was continuing to rise, while the United States had 1.55 million, and the number was continuing to fall. Families, rural, urban, have expected to provide funds for themselves in their old age, although it is likely that the very rapid increase in pension payments in early 1970s will have an impact, lessening family financial responsibility. In 1973, Japanese saved 20% of the disposable personal income, compared to Americans who saved 80%. Survey research data collected during the last several years show increased savings since the mid-1970s. In households where heads were approaching retirement, saving rates have increased beyond the national household's average. These surveys shows a high proportion of the savings are now being set aside for retirement than in previous years, when a higher percentage of the families reported they were saving for household purchases, housing, and the education of their children. In Japan, the family has been clearly responsible for the education of its children, and families put aside money for that purpose. In the United States, where there is less clarity about whether the family, the government, or private institutions are responsible for the education of the student, there was virtually no family saving for educational purposes. Japanese family members also assume a much larger share of the responsibility for caring for the sick than American family members. Hospitals not only encourage family members to help out, but often supply mats or cots, cooking facilities at the hospital, providing quality personal care without great financial burden. The Japanese family still accepts a large responsibility in caring for the aged. In 1953, 81% of the Japanese over 65 were living with their children. In 1974, this had declined only to 75%. As John C. and Ruth Campbell have noted, that less than 2% of the Japanese over 65 were in nursing homes and other institutions, compared to almost 6% in the United States. Palmer notes that in 1973, 79% of the Japanese couples over 65 lived with one of their children, compared to between 14 and 18% in Denmark, the United States, and Great Britain. Among Japanese widows, 82% over 65 live with the children, and of widows, 84%. Only